Hi there, and welcome to this video presentation of ReportLoq Cloud. ReportLoq Cloud is Olicem's most comprehensive DAS solution for monitoring emissions in real time and for reporting them to the authorities. ReportLoq Cloud is furthermore MCERT certified and is a split solution that delivers two products. One for the plant, so that the operators always can have their eyes on the emissions and report them to the authorities, as well as another part for the environmental coordinators and other administrative personnel, so they have an easy access to their emissions. This means that we'll deliver a package to you with hardware embedded for data collection, and we'll also deliver some security equipment for connecting the solution to the internet. ReportLoq Cloud is currently the most comprehensive and most used solution of ReportLoq. Let's start by looking at the hardware. Well, let's have a look at the hardware we can include for ReportLoq installations. There are two different kinds of approaches when choosing hardware for a ReportLoq installation. One of them is a simple controller. This one can do data collection, and if we look at it, we can see that it has different kinds of interfaces. I've hooked it up here with some different technologies. We have a Profibus and a Profinet adapter here, and we also have some 4 to 20 milliamps. You can choose other modules regardless of what your needs is. I'm sure we can find a technology that fits your purpose. But the collector here, the data collector, simply collects everything that comes in on the bus technologies or the hardwire technologies and collects the data inside the controller. Here it resides for 30 days. The controller saves it in an embedded database, and this embedded database makes sure the data resides in here regardless of what would happen on the plant's subsequent systems. So it works as a data buffer and provides a high level of security. The other option we have here is an IPC. This is an industrial PC. It's actually a little like the controller that we looked at just before, but it has some additional possibilities. The module we have here is a module that allows us to connect other devices. So we could actually take one of the modules we have on the controller and simply slide it on to this module, so it simply connects very well with the other modules. This would have the advantage when you install it of collecting the same kind of data that you had previously, but now you have another option as well, because the IPC here is an industrial PC and it has more CPU power. So in addition to data collection, this baby can also do some dash calculations. We can install ReportLoq directly on this hardware, and this means that you will not need any additional hardware. This is all you'll actually have to acquire and to install on your plant in order to do environmental calculations and get reporting up and running. Because the IPC here does the data collection, as you can see here, using some EtherCAT, stores it internally, and does subsequent calculations. If you choose this one, then you have everything you need. This is an all-inclusive solution, I guess you could say that. Whereas the controller here also needs an additional component, because this needs somewhere to do the calculations as well. And these calculations could be carried out on a computer, servers of some sort. We recommend Windows servers for that kind of calculations. Let's have a look at how ReportLoq is actually operating when using these kinds of technologies. This is the ReportLoq user interface. The first thing we see here is the view we have for the control room. This is the view the local server generates. The server collects data and stores them locally, and also presents the values that it's collecting in various ways. We see here from the first column that we have the raw value coming in, and there are various calculations defined by the different standards that make sure that we do the calculations correctly and average them to 30-minute averages or hourly averages. We can see from this web page here that we have some coloring of some of the fields here, and the coloring are mainly because there are limit values on some of the values that are coming in, and some of the other components or averages are not regulated by limit values, so they are black. It's possible to extend this list or to shorten it depending on whatever it is you're monitoring. This user interface is meant for the plant room operator and is therefore generated by the local server. So this should be installed directly on the plant, and regardless of internet connectivity problems and stuff like that, this will always be visible, so it's possible to see your emissions in real time and calculations as they progress. It's a good way for the operators to get a quick glance of if anything is wrong. The green will turn into yellow and be bigger if something is about to be exceeded. And it's also possible to comment on the exceedances and alarms if any have occurred over time. There are the option of showing this in a multi-view, combined multi-view, that is, where you can see several stacks if that is more appropriate, for example, with plants with 2 or more stacks. This can be extended to more stacks and be limited to fewer columns if that would be appropriate. This is the only thing that the local server is presenting in the ReportLoq Cloud environment, and that is because the only thing we intend to do here is to show the plant room operator the most necessary information and to remove the rest to the, or move the rest to the cloud platform where the environmental coordinator also has access. So the data we see here will in this setup be uploaded to the ReportLoq Cloud, where the data is also being calculated in the same way that is being here. So I'll just change the tabs here in the top, meaning that we'll change to the cloud solution, where we will see the same kind of data. The first thing we see here when we enter is the cockpit. This gives a quick glance over the last 7 days when we come in, and we can see that the AMS is okay, no analysis is failing, and we've been generating some exceedances the last day. Maybe there's something we need to follow up on here. The list just below is a detailed explanation of the table above, showing what was exceeded. The same view that we saw just before can also be extracted here if we enter the one of the stacks. Then we are able to see the same values. It's the same layout as we saw previously, but here we can see that one of the values are about to be exceeded. This is also a quick way for the plant room operator to see that something was exceeded. It's not exactly the same setup as we saw before, because if it was, then we would be able to see the yellow color on the previous screenshot. But it's the same terminology. In addition to this real-time view, it's possible to see reports. Let's go into that section. For one of the stacks, there are various different kinds of reports. Interval reports are one of them, where we can see the current calculations and exceedances. I just selected monthly here, meaning that we'll see every day of the month and see what was exceeded. We can see HCL here was, for example, exceeded some of the day, and they actually had one day where it wasn't valid, the daily average. So that means they have a discarded day that day. We also do mass emission calculations, calculating them to kilos, and that can also be viewed on a yearly report if you want to have a quick glance over how many kilograms of NOx or SO2 or SOx you have emitted this year, mainly for paying taxes and stuff like that. Quick glances of exceedances are also possible. If you use percentage exceedances, then these are calculated in a report where you can see how many % of the daily averages have been, or the hourly averages have been exceeded. And if you don't use that, but just check the day once, then just use a column report where you can find what you need in here. Here, the discarded day is actually listed. That was what we saw just before, that we had a VA day. an NV day, not valid day, and that is counted here, so you can see if the plant has exceeded the 10 discarded days per year that it is allowed to discard. There are a lot of different reports. I'm not going to go through all of them. That would take too long time. Just say that if you're curious about what the report contain, then check them out on our website, www.olichem.com, and dig into the sections, or throw me a message, and I'll make sure to redirect you to the appropriate place. QAL is also an integrated part of the system. So if you are using the QL2 system for inputting A and B values, then this is extremely easy. Simply press new and put in the A and the B value, and optionally put in a calibration area if you are using that. That is the calibration span from the QL2, also visible from the report. It's also possible to deactivate the confidence interval if it has been altogether failed, this QL2 that you've just received a report from. QL3 is equally possible to input here. We're using the QSUM calculation for calculating that, if that's something that you are using on your plant. The last thing I'd like to emphasize here is our trend module. All the data logged can naturally be trended in various levels. I'll just show you the calculated one here. This takes all the averages in the period selected. This is 4 hours in this case, and shows them on a graph. And in addition to just showing them, it also shows the status of the plant and the analyzer, and that is actually a good thing to include on a graph like this, because sometimes you just see values and wonder what it is that could be causing them. We can, for example, see here that there is this spike coming up here, and if we are zooming in on it, it's the one that's here in the middle again. Then we can put our cursor over it, and we can see that the analyzer state is ACFNT calibrating, and this is a multi-component analyzer, which is currently calibrating. So this means that the value in this period is disregarded from the calculations in the hour. So we shouldn't worry that much. So it's not an error of that sort. So, and if we look just before it, we can see that this calibration signal has disappeared, and later on it's also disappeared. So it's only in this period where the spike is that we've been in calibration mode. It's also possible to view the data in other kinds of calculations. For example, here we see the raw value, so this means that it's the actual value that's coming from the analyzer. But if we would like to view it as a corrected value, so that means we've removed water and oxygen from it, or normalized it to a known oxygen level, then the value is changing, and we can see that, and we can also zoom on this one. And we can see here that the blue is the raw value and the orange one is the corrected value. So this means that it's easy for the operator to understand why data is being calculated with different values than the ones that are coming directly from the analyzer. It could be that you have a QL2 value or a QL3 value that makes these calculations even more different, and then in those cases it's sometimes difficult to understand why the calculations are so different as they are. So having a tool for this is quite nice. This is just to make it short, more or less the most important parts of the system online here. There are other user interfaces as well, but I suggest you try to navigate to ReportLoq.com and create a demo account and log in and click around yourself. It's fairly easy. We'll send an email to you straight away after you've created the account, and you can simply log in and click around in the same setup that I'm looking at here. So enjoy, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentation here. That's it for this presentation. We've gone over the hardware and we've gone over the user interfaces. There's still a lot to be said about ReportLoq, but to make this video short, I think we should end it here. Feel free to enter our website and take a look at it. The URL is here in the bottom of this video, so you can find it. And feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions about ReportLoq. Thanks for now, and see you out there.